Yes. Welcome to another Sunday evening. To the round table. Yes, we still continue that journey. The journey that we Jamaicans embark on. The journey to find self, find truth, find security and love. I Some call it an uphill journey, but we're still searching, and what a time we're living in. We're living in that time where I see some attempts. I personally see some attempts to engage we Jamaican in what I call hero worshipping. And for that, I haven't gone to see the Bob Marley movie, because I know some of the players. And I say I know them because originally I started out at Delamere Avenue, meeting with the Rasta, going amongst the Rasta moon, especially a virgin named Tony Martin, Delamere Avenue, right at a big yard. And next door to that yard live China Smith. And so it was a place, a lot of movement and activity take place in a Tony Martin yard. When he's not gambling, he's herb smoking, musicians, jocking and what
Dominoes.
have you. Domino, well, not well, dominoes, gambling. Okay. So when people start to make noise about the Bob Marley thing, my initial reaction was, why Skill Cole supposed to have enough to say, enough to do with this movie. Because Imam Bob was, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, man,
Yeah,
we hear
man.
you
Yeah, yeah.
good, man.
Imam Bob was so close. And it's not something someone tell me. It's something that I observe, and I observe it as a youth going to Russell, going to Tarrant, and having to pass JBC, Odeon Theatre, and go up on that side of town there. And sometimes you out there and it's Bob and Skill, you see, and make up nice. Then certain man on the radio so them now play the music, and it was like a regular thing a Friday time with Bob and Skill and all them things. So and I talk about 70, 70, 73, from around 70, 73. Earlier than that still, but just that period, you know. Now this movie drop and it focused on the concert. So I said, well, Skill Code supposed to have a lot to say. But now I see something from skill say, why coming like nobody no consult to them or talk to him or what have you. So this Bob Marley movie raised a lot of questions in my head. Why now? Why now? Why this push for one love? Why now? And within this push for one love, guys, a Bob Marley thing, universal one love. Can we have love in a society where, I'll give you an example. You remember Mikey Smith? You remember Mikey Smith, the dub poet?
Yeah.
Bridging, man. That's a man.
Mikey Smith was stoned to death in Stony Hill. And to date, people, there's no justice for Michael Smith. Nothing. The people just push it under the mat and different. And now it's one love. Can there be love without justice, my brethren? What sort of society we are talking about? And I ask this, because tomorrow a lot of people are go to the poll and go vote election and what have you. But what about the injustice? So I say to my fellow brethren, don't let us watch the nice, because there's something about this movie that I'm not comfortable with. I'm interested in hearing from the brethren them, hear from the brethren them, and the sister, Maxine, now join us. I'm really interested in hearing
Yes,
from the item. Welcome, Sister Maxine. In terms of
yes.
this Bob Marley movie, what is the significance? What is the significance of this movie? No, why no? And can we have love? Can we say we love each other in a society where we're still waiting for justice for Mikey Smith? Can we? And I want to open the floor to the listeners. I invite your input, your participation, but again, don't watch the knife, don't listen to the knife. Let us dig deep and understand why no, why no. John, you was a you, John, you was a former teacher at Selassie High School, and you share with me certain things that you did as a teacher, you know. And can you give me a take? Cause you saw the movie. What's your take, bro? You think I'm
Well,
asking too difficult a question? Can we?
no. The reason why, one of the reasons why I embrace Bob Marley is because the music live on forever. He may not have penned every single song, but the idea of no peace without justice, um, which I think belonged to Peter Tosh. Peter Tosh may have written those words, but the Mali movement, the, embraced that philosophy. The song that he had about war, um, no second class citizen of any country. Even while we are talking now, the people in Gaza are being slaughtered. And just to go back to my own experience, I grew up in Jamaica as a red middle class youth. Call it for what it is. And I went away on an exchange program when I was like 19 to California. And when I went to California, I really was interested in fossils, geology. And I went there to pursue that career. But I was caught up by two pieces of injustice in the world. Three, the injustice in Jamaica, the injustice to black people in the United States, and the injustice of the Vietnam War. I went to almost every big meeting in that period. And at the end of the exchange program, I went back to complete my degree at the university. And when I graduated, I decided I was only going to work in ghetto schools. So the first job I got was at Charlie Smith. I'm sorry, Selassie. Haile Selassie Secondary on Payne Avenue. And at that time, I used to wear a huge afro, like Angela Davis afro. And I only wear sandals and straight foot pants and dashiki. And I was a social studies teacher to grade 10, 11, and 12, which is like 15. I don't remember the age group now, but somewhere like 15, 16, 17, somewhere there. And these youth are ghetto youth who came to that school. This is not money youth. And one of the things that struck me is the ignorance of the youth about Rastafari. And the reason why it struck me is because I started what was called a Black History Club at the school. And in that Black History Club, one of the main events, one of the main things that I promoted was to go down on the field, because that school, because it was donated, I think Selassie had something to do with the building of it. So Rasta used to occupy the field. You couldn't even see them in the classroom because them way down in the bottom of the field. So I went down there and I meet the elders. And I tell them the youth them want to know about Rasta, that they must come to the club meeting to explain to them, to tell the youth why them locks, how them locks, what locks mean. So over a period of months, the brethren come to the club meeting, which caused the meeting to triple, quadruple, from 10, 15 youth to 300 youth. The room couldn't hold them. And over time, the club grew to be larger than every other club. The science club, the athletic club, this club, that club. When we have club parade, me have 10 times the amount of youth. But the most important thing is the fact that among those youth, there was simple basic question which I learned from as well, you know, because I couldn't tell them why. I never have ballad that time, but I never have Rasta locks either. I never ever wear locks. But I am not opposed. I encourage the youth them to hear from the dread firsthand why Rasta do certain things, what it mean to be a Rasta, why them smoke herb, etc. And them come to the meeting and them explain these things till the place couldn't hold no more. So as you might know, that along with my activity to form a new union made the principal expel me, fire me from the job. So I was there 1 year. At the end of the year, she terminated my service. And in the struggle to get back a job, I could rely on the Rasta brethren who work in the area and who knew that I was actively encouraging knowledge about Rasta in the school. As a as a general secretary of the union, one of the things that we advocated was to transform the curriculum from the English. I sent out one of the Oliver, Datlin Oliver is she used to be, I used to work with her at LOJ.
Tatlin Oliver.
Yeah.
Tatlin.
Tatlin. Yeah,
Tatlin. She was at one of the radio stations too.
Yes, right. She
I know
was a
Tatlin.
PR person at LOJ, and I had to interact with her. We did many seminars about, other things in the years following. But I sent that out because she made the very same point, how dreads was stigmatized, even in that school, which was considered a donation from Selassie and the government of Ethiopia. You couldn't come there with no dread. And up to this day, it is, if it's not banned outright, it is frowned upon to wear locks. Not to mention anything else, like wearing African colors, wrapping your head, all kind of different way that the Jamaican society, the upper levels, used to banish Rasta. And I was struck in the movie by that comment made by Sidella, if you remember, where in the interview with her, she made the point that they couldn't go to visit, they couldn't go and spend time at no house, nobody house, because they was seen as ganja smoking people, and therefore it was frowned upon. So one of the things I think, one of the big ways that Bob Marley contribute to the democratization of the Jamaican society is to elevate the concept of Rastafari. I don't mean in every sense, but what must be done if we are to really be genuine is that it must be part of the curriculum, in the same way that we had to struggle to get Marcus Garvey in the curriculum. I used to write my own curriculum for the CXC, and in fact, before I left the school system, I contributed to the CXC program that would be offered. But I'm sure those things are no longer really being implemented among the youth, and it's just all about the same prejudice that we have been battling with in the last 60 or more years in Jamaica. From when I used to teach, I don't think nothing has changed. Rasta is not on the curriculum. Rasta can't come to school and tell people what them do. What Rasta is about. Can't explain why them locks, all the prejudice that is there from when I was a youth remain there today. And if we are to be truthful and talk about changing the country, this is one of the areas where it is overdue. It's so amazing that even in the ghetto schools where you'd see Rasta and live with Rasta in the communities, them only know unless them join Rasta and believe and participate in Rasta movement. There is no real, there is every attempt to create a barrier between the values, many of which we approve of. I'm reading a comment here from somebody. But anyhow, I think my point is, you know, but the movie,
John,
yeah,
can you hear me?
yes. Can I
John?
hear you now? Yes.
Yeah, John.
Go on, Mikey.
You're not talking, you can't hear you when you don't talk, you know.
I can you hear me now?
Yes.
John, you talk about your experience. Can you tell us about the movie? Your take on the movie?
Well, I did last week. I believe that the movie,
Can you give us your
first of
take on
all,
the
I've
movie?
had a mixed view on the movie because a movie is different from a documentary. And a lot of comments have been made about things that are missing. I feel, and I still hold to that position. I'm not happy with how the movie covers Bob Marley, even if you want to make money. For example, the way that it treats his performance and the contribution is in Africa is almost is even negative because it is over the money distribution with Don Taylor that you know that them perform in Africa, when in fact War, one of his great music songs, and the contribution to the independence movement in South Africa and in Zimbabwe, um, were key elements of their program. So,
And stick up
sorry,
in John, because you raise a point that's critical there. And the point of the Africa, how they treated Africa. I mean, it ended with the whole argument about performing in Africa, ended with Chris Blackwell, it brought out the prejudice against Africa, with Chris Blackwell saying, there's no infrastructure, there's nothing there, right? So Marley shouldn't even think about performing in Africa. It struck me that they did not develop on that to try and create a different view about Africa. The view about Africa was so negative in the movie, you know?
yeah, I would say this though. You remember when they were showing a snippet of the performance in Zimbabwe, the people broke down the fence to
Yeah.
come in because the crowds that were assembled at the gate were so tremendous to hear the man. Them could sing all the words and music because it was their anthem in the anti-colonial struggle. Some of those words were their anthem, and it's the same thing in South Africa. Many of the artists give tribute to Bob Marley. I forget the guy now in South Africa who was killed the other day, but um, they also contributed based on on the experience with Bob Marley and the Wailers. So I agree. It's just an indication of uh, the negative side. The other element that struck me is I would not put much importance to the proliferation of children and different women. Because part of Manley's doing was to abolish bastard.
Yeah.
And part of our doing in the union was to abolish bastard amongst teachers. One of the things that you guys might not know, but in those days, a principal could screw the teacher, breed up the teacher. A teacher from Michael gone to work in the bush somewhere in the country, They are dependent on the school board and the principal to get housing. And the principal uses authority to abuse the young girl them from the teachers college. And when them get pregnant now, and it show, because it must show, when you get pregnant, your belly get big.
Fire
The
them.
moment it show them, fire them. Because the rule at the time was you can fire them because it was bad for the youth them. For pregnant teacher to stand up in front of them and teach. So we abolished that so that there's no longer any, or I shouldn't say no longer, I should say it reduced the authority of abuse that many of the principals, who at the time, of course, were almost entirely male, from abusing the teachers. So again, I wouldn't make much of that. I don't see that as neither here nor there. But the other thing I thought was the music. There could have been other ways of getting more of the songs. It's centered around Exodus. I think that Bob Marley's contribution and talent go beyond that. And finally, the contribution made by the different, what you call, the people who burn the music from the beginning, when it was just starting out. I was going to read my little thing here because I have the Bob Marley volumes, and it have the name of the different producers, and I forget if the one that the scare one of them was, came out in the scare days. So it mentioned, but it didn't go into a deep enough to show where the new music came from, how it developed, the contribution of the grassroots promoters to encourage that amongst them. In fact, you get the impression it's almost entirely, what's his name?
Chris Blackwell.
Chris Blackwell.
Yeah, I got that too.
Yeah, he was introduced, he was promoted, he was interviewed, and so on. So you would get the impression, boy, and everybody hear the name Chris Blackwell. So
yeah,
it's
that
just,
his career was entirely dependent on Chris Blackwell.
yeah.
That isn't that interesting. It's not growing up, I thought Bob was part of a movement. It was Bob and a movement. We no longer hear about the movement. It's now Bob, the Rasta man. Well, Maxine, you haven't
Can I
seen.
make one addition
Yeah,
before
go
I forget?
ahead.
Yeah, one addition I forgot. I went to that concert that him bring together Manley and Siago as
Yeah,
a youth.
I
I
was at
went,
that concert as a
yeah,
youth.
that was at the stadium, if
Heroes
I
Park.
recall
No,
correctly.
Heroes Park.
Heroes
Heroes
Park.
Park.
Okay, I stand corrected. But I remember going to that, and it seemed like a much bigger crowd than all you see it in the movie. I mean, the thing in the
Yeah, it
movie was a joke.
looked like a little a bar, a
A
lounge
community
place.
thing, a
Yeah,
community type show, It did
Maxine.
huge.
Maxine. Maxine, you're in Jamaica right now, right? You're in Jamaica.
Yes.
Maxine, you're mute.
First, I must
Okay.
give my
What was
condolences.
was
I
yeah?
might have to let me move to another room because the dogs
we're
want to
hearing you.
join me. You hearing me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
First, I must offer my condolences to the Morgan Heritage family
I
with the passing
just got the news.
this
Yeah,
morning of
Who
Peter
died?
Morgan.
Peter? Oh, whoa,
Huh? Peter
Who
whoa.
died?
Morgan, one of the
Yeah.
lead singers for Morgan Heritage. and the son of Denroy Morgan, passed himself away about 2 years ago, March 3rd, 2022.
Where he died in Jamaica?
So I no, in Florida. I think it
Okay.
might have been Orlando. He was residing there.
Yeah.
And then yes, I'm just giving that
Yes, I didn't
energy.
know.
We share 5 grandchildren with the Morgan family, you know, so the energy, you know, is very much within my family as as a blended, you know,
Okay.
blended family. So acknowledging his contribution, and you know, we just, I think yesterday or day before, Aston family man Barrett also transitioned, well, within the period of this movie that we're discussing, and he was buried. Well, there was a major ceremony for him yesterday, also in Florida. I think they're projecting a scenario for him on the 5th at the National a memorial service here in Jamaica. Yes, so the Bob Marley movie, and the effect that it is having is is on many layers. And so the reaction from the public, I think, is based on what your experience has been. Um, for me, my experience comes from the Rastafari as a community and understanding Bob Marley and his peers to be missionaries and messengers of a culture. And so what is being expressed, while his own style or his own innovation or his own talent is being added, the power of the of Bob Marley rests with the Rastafari community, and he would be considered, like in other genres, they would say, okay, he's a gospel artist for the church. You understand? Like that's gospel music, and would be like a missionary, you know, to the world on behalf of the Rastafari culture. I understand I haven't seen the movie yet, but someone called me this morning asking my views and extolling to me that the movie is more so about Rastafari than, you know, what they took away. That's why I said maybe different people go to it and they experience different reactions. And I am accepting of all reactions, good, bad, and indifferent, you know, because that is the nature of the culture and the music industry and so on and so forth. The music industry is a very not a good judgment. I mean, it's not a good industry in terms of sharing benefits. So a lot of time when you see success, it is really at the price of others. You know, one of the things that I personally was starting to work with directly with the Honorable Bonnie Whaler in 2010. And it wasn't really about the music, even though I got to work on his music. It was about how the Rastafari culture was being appropriated globally with no benefits to the community. And where I was shocked, even as a music person, to go into the Rastafari community and see that they had no structures. Most of the tabernacles, etc., are, as much as it is that the source for this multi-billion-dollar US, not Jamaican, industry and lifestyle, that there's no benefit to the community. Most of these places don't have a toilet and still don't, in the spotlight of what is happening here in the commercialization of it. I think that the Mali, the whole issue of um, the what you said, the content, you know, I understand Hollywood, and I understand that these scripts rest on drama and protagonists, like, you know. a story, a large story, but you have to drive it with a love story or tension or relationships, is how they express the larger story, you know? So I'm not, I think that
Surprise.
Bob and Rita would have to be the axis of that story being told. If it was the Wailer story of the group, as they came up from, children coming up, the relationship that would have been explored would be that between Bonnie and Bob as family, from 7-year-old coming up, you know, all of that. And it would be the tensions between themselves as they grew up as teenagers into adulthood, and as each of them encountered and adopted the Rastafari faith and what their experiences was. That's the Wailers
Somebody
movie to come.
Hold on, hold on. Wesley, can you mute your thing for me?
Eh?
Can you mute your mic for me?
Right.
Okay, all right.
I
Mute your mic.
also would like to, express to the audiences that, will hear what we're saying here now and carrying it further. That, I was just reading something on the Beatles and the amount of biopics that are either done or slated to be done. I was reading one today where one director is about to produce 4 biopics on the Beatles that express each member relationship, right? So our reaction is because we don't have the economy to support our culture. This is the Jamaica that not only don't have the economy, but didn't even have the society that not only Rastafari, but all the legacy of the Black people, the African descendants. What we do, what we create is unprotected, and it is only our survival, our need to survive and our need to innovate and still make something out of life. That is what we now know as the culture. So our culture that is being expressed and commercialized, at the root of it is still a people and a society that may have gotten political power somewhat, but no control over its economic value. And so a lot of the people who are saying negative things about the movie might be great, but they don't see their connection to it. They hear about 100 million being made at the box office and, all of these great achievements. But they must be looking at it, wondering how does that affect them? How does this celebration and this, are there any movies that ever going to be made? You understand, about the great icons of our culture and music? You know what I mean? Like, it seems unfair, but it's not the participants. It's the economy surrounding our culture, the lack of investment by the Jamaican society. I won't say government, because government alone is just a facilitator. But there's no link. There's no private sector that is making money in the creation of culture. Maybe they're like sound and light companies, venues, certainly the drinks companies, the, Red Stripes and all of these people, the Digicels, the Flows. A lot of them are making money off of the merchandising, and getting us, the people of the culture, to buy their products and services. But in terms of it coming back to us, whether through, as John said, education, and an economy, it is not there. So I'm glad for the spotlight that the movie is creating, and I hope it continues to create more, so that our underbelly that is oppressing us to to this point is able to be focused on by the people so that when they're going out to vote for whoever, they have higher standards of what should be delivered to them based on what their value is. You know, we as a people are valuable collectively. And so we must demand better return by how we are managed by our government and how we are invested in by our private sector. The
Can I?
narratives in relation to certain things that were chosen, as John pointed out, you know, my uncle Clement Dodd was, you know, who is like, if there was no Clement Dodd, there would be no Bob Marley.
He's
There
only
would be
shown.
no Chris Blackwell.
He's
There
only
would be
shown as
no,
a hothead
yeah,
in the
in fact,
movie.
he's shown with a gun that he
Yeah,
never had. And so millions and millions of people across the world.
him look like he was shown in like Bucky Marshall or Claude Massop type.
Yeah, and not to say, you know, listen, the precursor for all of this is the harder they come. People don't understand that Bob Marley and the Wailers are a product of Jimmy Cliff and Chris Blackwell. Jimmy Cliff and Chris Blackwell worked together from 1964 to the release of the film The Harder They Come. That is the most definitive, what do you call it, promotion of Jamaican music globally. That introduced Rastafari to the pop culture. When Ras Daniel Hartman was for the first time, a Rastafari was ever seen outside of Jamaica. You understand? And Jimmy Cliff, he is the one that worked with Chris Blackwell. He worked with the rock groups in Birmingham. He wrote music, co-produced, and he only left Ireland because The Harder They Come took 3 years to be produced, and the financial constraint, because he was supposed to be the star. He went on to be a huge star in Brazil, Africa, and paved the way for the Wailers, for Bob Marley, and any success that Bob Marley is achieving now must be shared beneficially with Jimmy Cliff, Peter Tosh, and Bonnie Whaler. And in fact, those four individuals have the Order of Merit, the highest order of honor from the Jamaican Society and our government. Those four individuals share this work. So Bob Marley as a star is not out there by himself, and it's not, you know, the discredit given to Coxon, who nurtured him. He was a father figure. He married them. He bought their suits. Everything One Love, the very nature of the song One Love, was created at Coxon. So Coxon should never have been given such a diminished role. And I'm just expressing that. I don't, you know, it's just for the Coxon move, you know, to occur.
No, it's very negative. It's a very negative portrayal of Coxon.
Very negative.
Can
To the
we?
contribution, to the
Yes,
seminal contribution.
that's what I said to the guys before we came on here.
Can we bring Wesley into the discussion? Wesley, happy birthday, my brother. I earlier, Wesley, I asked the question: can we, with this movie, One Love, can we have love where, you know, where there is no justice?
Well,
Can we?
first and foremost,
Because
I want to say thanks to the brethren on my birthday.
and the
You know,
sister too.
yes, and the sister. Good. Today is
Yeah.
my birthday. And today
Today,
is yeah, today, John. Today I'm a big man.
all
Yeah.
right, you bigger man, bigger man.
He's getting ready to vote, you know. We're going to talk about that. But Wesley,
Uh,
this Bob Marley movie, you saw
yeah,
it.
the Bob Marley music movie
Movie.
when I saw it on last week. I think it's Ash Wednesday. It opened Ash Wednesday. And I get to see it. is that my grandson and his schoolmate planned to see it, but the time was different in terms of their ticket and his ticket, and he asked me to buy the ticket. And when I went, it was the time was sold out, so I bought ticket for me and him to go to the movie. I don't know if it was a school project or what, so I just didn't want him to miss out on it. All right. So, but the movie to me, it's like a commercial thing, showing Bob Marley as Bob Marley and the different clips of Bob Marley and Rita, and it was more basically a love story between him and Rita, which that is good. I what I expected from the movie when I heard about it, it was that it would be showing the whalers and the whalers how they came up, and what or the involvement of the whalers, the involvement of Bob Marley in terms of pushing the music in Jamaica with the whalers, right? And is ascending into Africa and the rest of the world. I didn't get the movie to be as powerful as I think it should be and could be, right? I think it could come out in a more powerful way in terms of reggae, where the reggae start, or it is, and they show a few music with them. It was. I think it should have more singing, and or you started it towards evil to depict so evil a clip with him and the whalers coming up, which is Bonnie and Peter, and then it ascend to where it was, right? So it didn't came to me as a movie that were really depicting Bob Marley as Bob Marley in terms of childhood upward, right? It's just Bob Marley at the stage of when he got shot, or a little bit before he got shot, and that is where the movie picked up. I think that is to me, that is the weakness of the movie. It should come up with more of Bob Marley and the Wailers and where they are, right? But to people who don't know Bob Marley, yes, it came across and Jamaica, and it was sold out in Jamaica, and it was sold out across the world. So all we have to do is to find a way to build more of these movies, and when we are, and we need to have a say. We can't have a say in something that we don't put our money. And what the private sector need to do, and the government, if you want to push Jamaica culture and Jamaica music, you need to put their money and need to develop the industry, the movie industry, that we can also help to direct it and advance it in the best way possible. That is my take on it.
Let me say this. Let me say this. When I speak of justice and injustice, I talk about number one. Much of what I gather that much of what is projected there during that time, Ziggy Marley and Stephen and those, they were youths. We agree on that? They were
Yeah,
youths. So Bob had to rely on others. Bob and Rita had to rely on others. And the others include Alan Skillcore. No, you're going to do a movie and present a story about Bob Marley, and there's no Alan Skillcore. No, really, look at it. Those of us who know with Bob Marley and Alan Skillcore connection and all of that, Cherry, what Cherry has done in terms of urban youths and connection and what have you. How can you do that unless there's some other motives?
You can say
What
things like, remind me, play music, and how windy is it? what I want to a point Maxine made and the point Wesley ended on in relation to like funding these kind of projects, right? And getting what you want out of it. We, we're talking, we're not talking about some little producer or some um, videographer trying to do a little project. We're talking about the Marley family, right? And what disappointed me about the movie is that I'm saying to myself, we're talking about the Marley family. The Bob Marley and the Wailers lay down a foundation struggling against the forces that exploited the music and exploited them over the years and tried to get them to voice the messages of those people who are trying to steal the music and oppress them. My thinking is that you have a Marley family, you would expect that they would want to portray something that is more in line with the tradition of the Wailers and in line with the tradition of the
Last,
Rastafari.
last, last. Bob
Yes,
Marley represent the Rasta movement.
that's what I'm
That is
saying.
what we're told.
You would expect that the Marley family
I see Maxine
would
shaking
want
her
to
head. I see Maxine
would
shaking
want to
her head.
to 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 present that that kind of continuation of the legacy of Marley, right? In a movie, in a biopic, depicting his life. And the Marley, you would expect there would be some kind of nationalistic approach from the Marleys in trying to say, well, you know, the Jamaican movie industry is not strong. Just like how the music developed with the effort of the Wailers and so forth, let us put some money behind developing a big project that can advance the movie industry in Jamaica so it can portray more of our cultural values and the values of Rasta inside of the thing. That was a disappointment for me.
Okay, for you. Maxine, I saw you shaking your head, Maxine. When I said
mean,
Bob
I
represent the
you
movement.
said
Just a minute, I'm getting a sound. Wesley, can you mute your
Not me, not coming from
can
me.
can can you
But
mute your
I will mute again.
something running Wesley in the
Yeah,
background?
it's not Wesley.
Yeah, man.
yes, yes.
John,
What I think
I don't
when
know song.
terrible.
My house is like a graveyard.
Yeah, Wesley, I think you're outside, Wesley. You're outside. Can can you go inside, Wesley?
Him can't hear you.
Yeah, you can hear me now. Hello, hello. thing not working, bro. Can you hear last? So running some interference, yeah?
You still hearing it?
Yeah. Last, you
Mike, you
hearing?
hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. Last, can you hear me? Wesley, mute. Mute it.
All right, Mikey, I'm mute again.
Okay. Yeah, I'm saying Maxine is not here. She left. She drop off. You see, for me, just listening to. She's back.
Yes, I, as I was saying about the movement and its representation. I've been working closely with the center of the movement in terms of how it sort of organized itself in terms of its representation from, the 50s, coming straight to when I actually got involved with the Rastafari Millennium Council and understanding the various houses of Rastafari, the Nyabingi, the Baba Shanti, the 12 tribe, and various strong cultural manifestations and representations that have global divisions. Yes, I'm saying are global communities. So, and I understand the Rastafari as it is, like that's why I say, like when a person is a missionary, and then you bring that the missionary as if the missionary is the whole movement or the symbol for the movement. It gets very touchy because there are some instances where people will even be praising Bob Marley more
We lost you there, Maxine.
Maxine?
She's frozen.
Yeah. Last. Last. Yeah, I don't know.
You can hear him, lass?
Yeah, me hearing him. It's just that I was mute. I didn't realize.
Wesley, can you hear me? Wesley, can you hear me? Oh man.
Wesley is on mute. He's not talking though. So I don't know. I see his microphone is on mute. You have to talk, Wesley. You have to unmute yourself, Wesley, so that we can hear you.
Yeah, Wesley, what are you saying?
You hearing me a while ago?
No, whenever I hear you, what did you say?
Uh,
Yeah, Maxine, you were saying.
I'm just going to ask everyone to mute their mic. So
Ask everyone.
everyone, and
My mic is mute.
okay,
My mic mute. I mute my mic.
okay. Maxine, yes, go ahead, Maxine.
Yeah, being amongst the movement and being amongst the elders and, really know, like you just said, this is a quote unquote church, the Catholic Church, and, you have your prophets and stuff like that. But the institution of Rastafari has been, I found coming into it, I knew there were stakeholders in the music, but the representation is not the artist. The representation of the movement is is the mansions and their leaders. And so if you start to promote Rastafari and you don't bring this energy forward, you understand? Then
No,
people,
I don't
like I
understand.
said,
I do understand because
no,
I know the Rasta movement consists of different mansions and some Rasta brethren who they move among all mansions. Some man only move among certain mansions. You have some Rasta man just move amongst a free spirit sort of Rasta man move from mansion to mansion. When I'm come a bongo sala, I'm going on a bongo dizzy, I'm going on a different man. I within that movement of brethren and sistering across Kingston, there are certain you can point to as leaders in the movement, and Bob was one of those. And it's within that capacity I say because Mark, when I grew up in a Kingston, from Maxfield Park to Waterhouse, along that stretch of land there, you had probably 4 to 5 yard where you could go hang out and smoke herb or what have you. And I said the leadership, the representation consists of organization and individual, free spirit individual. And Bob was one of those. He provides support to a number of houses. You get what I'm saying? That Bob was a recognized leader among certain
yes.
people. Yeah,
But
okay.
what I'm saying, for me, the Wailers were, because the amount of work I encounter with Bonnie Whaler, for example, maybe because
Mm-hmm.
he lived the longest. So as much as Bob, and to an extent, Peter, they died young. They died at 36, right? And so for me, you know, experiencing the fundamental investment of certain artists who felt very close. They weren't just singing and being Rasta and enjoying the benefits that the world had created as an industry for Rastafari reggae performers. But you can count on your hand which one of these performers invested forward into the community. And so, like I said, when I came in, and I understand Bob Marley's position. He died young. He's an estate. He's not in charge anymore. It is his estate that's dictating a lot of the decisions that are being made, and then we have to interpret what he meant through the vision of others. That
Yeah,
is why
true. True.
oftentimes the documentaries are better vehicle, and why the movie may be troublesome for some, because his words are being reinterpreted and reconstructed on the narratives that suit box office platforms, which is fine. You're going to find this in the commercial world. But as I was saying, I was just reading an article about the position of the production of 4 movies to represent the Beatles. They're coming out. They're saying, "Oh, we're this production, this effort, or this investment is to create 4 movies about the Beatles, and each movie is going to show the individual, um, personality and
Personalities.
soul
Yeah.
of right." But that is money. That is coming from economy that is prepared to invest
But
and not.
stick a pin.
No, so I'm just saying we are struggling. I'm struggling
Yes, I
with
understand. I just before you move from that point, I just want to ask you this question: Do you what you think is or do you think the Marley family could do like a better job of promoting something that more in line with the legacy of Bob as a national, from a national perspective, like a national project, you know, and get more out of it? Because
I think even the Marley family are themselves constrained by who owns Bob Marley, right? You have to understand that Bob Marley's music is owned by Universal Music Group. His publishing is owned by Blue Mountain Music, right? Who owns the music and who owns the publishing? The Marley family benefits, but they're major power brokers who also have to be satisfied in any projection because they have to make back their money, right? So they're not going to give you license to create something that may be true, but it isn't going to be commercially viable, right? So I give credit to the Marley family for what they have done in terms of what I've heard, because they have done the best with what they can do. You understand? But if I am Universal Music Group and Blue Mountain Music, and I find that I own the music of the Wailers and Marley, right? And I should be the one like the Beatles, like what I'm showing you, I'm reading, and come out and say, oh, we are going to produce the Wailers because they have the music. And without the music, you could have 50 million picture, 50 million footage. If you don't have the music to be the soundtrack for whatever you go and film, it will not work. What is working with this One Love movie is the music. You understand? So you have to say now, who owns the music? Who owns the publishing? Who is make if the Marleys, if you here's $100 million being made at the box office, you have to think to yourself, who is the Marleys could be making 1 million out of the 100? Who is making the 99? Who is going to make the profit and reinvest it in the Wailers? You understand? In the individual stories. Bob Marley has not been promoted as the Wailers. The Wailers became his musicians. It was never Peter and Bunny, right? So Universal and Blue Mountain Music are not invested in Peter Tosh and or Bunny Wailer, even though they own the publishing and they own the music, because they buy it up in the interest of Bob Marley. So what we are left with is like what we went through with our African identity, who have the money,
Water down thing.
yeah, and a propaganda. Because one thing I noticed very keenly is in the early years, the Marley movie or the Marley, Bob Marley energy was selling Rastafari goods and services, meaning everything Rasta. I noticed with this movie that the major brands are selling merchandise and hardly any of it is carrying red, gold, and green. In fact, the Adidas commercial is black, gold, and green. And I'm looking at the electronics and, I'm watching the products that are being presented. And I'm saying to myself, wow, because, and I'm sensitive to it because the rest of our community was claiming ownership or shared benefits in anything Rasta that was being projected. So I'm there curiously looking and saying, what is being sold now under this, banner? And is it strategic? And I don't see no big merchandising going on in Jamaica in terms of Rastafari community selling or benefiting from this. You understand? And I'm saying, okay, so what kind of planning is going on around this thing now where all of this hype and sold out? How is it trickling down now to the ordinary Rastafari, houses and movements and individuals that are now being celebrated globally? And so it is what it is. As Jamaica, Brand Jamaica, we are studying the same thing about anything Jamaica creates and how it, Brand Jamaica is worth 39 billion US dollars globally. And we're only getting a trickle because we don't have the proper infrastructure and the proper mindset to benefit, from this. So I'm glad I'm speaking, but I'm able to speak like this because of the spotlight. You understand? Without the spotlight, we wouldn't even be talking. So as much as I am critiquing, I'm critiquing it in a manner to say the higher the monkey climb, you know, the more is exposed. And so I'm glad for the climbing of the monkey. You understand what I'm saying?
I, I want I want to share this video. I want to share this video so you can look at something here.
Achievement. I worked, just to let you know, I worked recording industry. I worked with Island Records. I reissued the whole of Bob Marley's catalog in the 2000 because every so often you have a reissue of the catalogs of music. And then I had a decade experience with Bunny Wailer, where I was able to look at through his eyes, what happened from the beginning to the end. And so I have a unique perspective, which I'm glad to be able to share and, to invite others to broaden their responses and to understand others' responses. If somebody's responding positively, understand where their position is coming from. And if someone is responding negatively, also understand that they just don't feel connected to the euphoria. And so and like people who know the story and think that the movie should do this. I don't think that the movie should do it. I'm thinking that it should be 5 movies being planned for, But I understand that we don't even have a
Maxine,
museum. We don't even have a museum. The
Maxine,
only museum we have is the Bob Marley Museum. We don't have a national museum to tell our national story so people could feel connected. You understand? So the whole thing and it has nothing to do with the Marley family. It has to do with the system of this place called Jamaica.
Okay.
where is the hypocrisy that Muta Baruka point to? He said he attended the premiere. Let me just share something here. Let me say something.
We didn't hear the Muta video,
Mr. Man.
but I take your word for it.
Are you seeing that?
We see it, but we can't hear it. It's not moving.
There's no sound coming from it, Mikey. So we cannot
Click,
critique it.
click on the speaker.
Ye- You're in it?
No,
No.
you never overcome this problem yet. I don't know if you think you're a
You
magician.
click on the speaker in the video.
We do that. I am doing that and I'm not hearing anything.
Not you,
I don't know if
Mikey.
anybody else.
Mikey need to do
Mike, you
that.
have to click on it. It might be turned on. It might be turned on. What you call it?
It's probably mute.
Mikey, you are the presenter. Send it through.
Anyway, tell us what it say, Mikey. I will be here until tomorrow.
Chan, be nice,
His
man. Come
main
on.
thing was the main thing was the turnout. It was real the people
You mean
who
the politicians?
rejected Rasta. The same thing the point you were making, John. Not just the politician, but in terms of John, you were saying the uptown people, middle class people rejected Rastafari, and now they're holding up and celebrating Bob Marley. They turned out, And he said, boy, water came to his eyes, when he saw that. Because he remember growing up as a Rasta man. Him couldn't go in a carb theater. I'm not letting no man barefooted Rasta man.
Horse barefoot.
Yeah, So we come
But
a far we come a far way. We come a far way as a people. But how we gonna deal with Rastafari? How we gonna deal with Rastafari? Because Rastafari right now is about teaching the youth about themselves. And what I see happening is just people take this and reject that, and they, they like they like the
I,
natty dread here, and they will tell you, "I am not a Rasta." They like
I
the
think
food, oh,
I
Rasta.
think I think we come a long way because the progress where Rasta cause in other society, we only just seeing it because remember, a lot of Jamaicans, they were so against their blackness in other society. Ordinary black Jamaicans were so miseducated by the system. And even though Rastafari, in some ways, them themselves don't make a lot of economic progress, but the social benefit to the society of the teachings of Rasta and how Rasta have organized themselves over the years is telling on the society right now, where a lot of people can accept them here, can accept them skin color, even though there's a lot of bleaching going on. There's a lot more Jamaicans who are conscious about them skin color, them history, and all of that, solely because of Rasta teachings and Rasta organization in the society. I think the Rasta movement failed to capitalize on the growth of Rastafari in the 70s. In the 70s, when Rastafari influenced
What you define as the Rasta movement? Because what you define as the Rasta movement?
in the 70s, the consciousness of Rasta, right, teachings in the society, it kind of dovetail with the manly teachings and the old manly era, gave Rasta a lot of freedom to to give them a bigger voice in a society and more freedom. And they capture the interest of a wide cross section of youths during that period of time. And the music, a lot of things benefited. The music benefited, right? And society and in general benefited. But I think that since that time, I don't know. There's a kind of dormancy in the Rasta movement, since the 70s and 80s. Probably Maxine can more speak to that as to why that is. Why after that big upheaval, that big wave of consciousness amongst the youth. I remember when you go up on a corner, nearly every youth on the corner have some kind of inclination towards Rasta.
Can
You
I?
know?
Yeah, before
Yes.
Maxine come in,
Mhm.
because you're the authority. But what I understand last to be saying, and which I definitely, when my parents were basically Father Manley supporters, and despite being Father Manley supporters, they would never embrace locks because they were middle class. The church that I went to was right there in Matilda's corner there. What the community name where Lammy come from?
Standpipe.
Standpipe. And those people were never accepted in the church any more than Lux was accepted at JC where I went, or Excelsior after JC. The point that I believe is being made is that Rasta is the essence of Rasta in Jamaica was to embrace Afrocentrism, to see black as beautiful, to see kinky hair as acceptable. So even when we never smoke herb. We didn't have to smoke herb. The aspect of Rasta that I know is what I saw. My parents would go to a Rex Nickelford concert or to pantomime and embrace Rasta beat drum. Embrace that famous Rasta music. What name again? And every party used to end with the thing, and everybody I do the Rasta dance. What name, Mikey?
Oh, Carolina.
Oh no, and call the next one.
Oh,
Yeah, oh
Carolina.
Carolina, oh Carolina. That's right. All I'm saying is,
Count Ozzy.
yeah, count as it, but many things, NDTC and all of them brought Rex Nickelford brought Rasta and write the book about amongst the
Mirror.
school, the middle class youth at university that help you open my eye to blackness and to the music, a different music, whether mento or poco. All of this is about blackness. And the one thing that Rasta never let go in Jamaica is that in black. That is a huge thing in a country that got through 300 years, where even black people used to deny black. You couldn't get no job in the bank. It's not long time. Me I talk about when me a little boy, when you go to the airline, it's pure red people who are serving you. That don't change in some. The higher up you go, the fewer black people you find. So the way that Rasta contribute is to say to the world, we're black. When Marley go on stage and him shake him locks, every dance him dance because he wasn't no big legs man. Every dance him dance and him shake him locks. Him saying to the world, this is who I am. I am just carrying it to a level right? And that level is the Afrocentricity that has been denied in Jamaica for up to, you know, and the reason why Manley, it come out in Manley, because Manley made the country more democratic. It wasn't just about, you know, any and everybody, communities, parents, Rasta amongst all of these people. But even now, you can't go school and wear locks. I don't know where the thing with the herb smoking going go. I mean, it don't bother me because I don't learn, say, it don't make you mad. It don't make you mad. You say here how it make you mad. People smoke herb in Jamaica, you know. Plenty people smoke herb, but they don't openly say that they do. Right? Because it's still a stigma among the middle class. Even though you will go to 7 out of 10, them smoke herb under the quiet. But other things to do with Rasta, like don't eat pork, a big thing that. As far as I know, most Jamaicans don't eat pork. Why? Rasta influenced that. Stop eat meat, eat vegetation, veggie. These little lifestyle changes have also been part of what Rasta contributes. So it's worth looking at. All I'm saying is what Maxine is saying, there's no structure. It's just out there. And the more the things that can make money, when we look at Bob Marley is a man who carried Jamaica name the furthest in the world. The furthest in the world. There's nowhere you go in the world. No. And say Bob Marley and them don't know that it's Jamaica him come from. Nowhere in the world. Right? So my point is this talk about how we monetize Rasta is a true thing. Even though the name might be out there, we are not getting anything from it. The breadcrumbs, just like bauxite, just like coffee, the music are suffer the same way. Look more the Japanese going to run with it and make something with it. Because many of them turn dreadlocks. If you go Japan now, certain area you go, them are wear locks. But I remember having a music store, and 90% it was in the tourist area. 90% of the people who would buy the music, a Japanese, come to Jamaica. When I go buy music in any other record shop, who I buck up? Japanese man, and woman, I walk foot for buy Jamaican original music, Scatterlights, you call it, Dan Drummond, them carry that back and them transfer that into digital and do all kind of things with it, which I don't have the proper understanding about. But it's all about the marketing of our culture.
Yeah, but the question last asked was the movement itself. Why is it?
Well, I would say,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Go ahead, Maxine.
I would
Go
say
ahead.
that One Love, the song,
It's a
Yeah.
was
movement. That's a Curtis
influenced.
Mayfield song. That
No,
was
I'm
a
explaining to you now.
Go ahead. Yeah,
One
go
Love,
ahead.
the song, came out of
Look,
Curtis Mayfield's song, which was the unofficial anthem for the
for the
civil
civil
rights
rights
movement.
movement. Okay.
Right. So the energy that One Love carried, and so much of our energy that we pick up from the African American experience, right? Which we aren't educated on it to understand the trends. Because as you asked about the question of the 70s and the late 60s, that was the rise of the Black Power movement
Yeah.
in America that was being translated culturally into Jamaica. You understand? And so the power that we express, we were rising on power that was being articulated, you know, um, throughout the West and also throughout the African liberation movements that were moving in Africa, right? Because I grew up in that 70 to 74, you know, and 74 entered university. And this was my, you know, in the States. And this was
Me
what
never know you in
Las
my
was,
age group, Maxine.
Las was talking about. Yeah, I'm not afraid
Um,
of age. I wanted to be old long time so I could be as an elder and tell people my mind. Because when you're an elder, by law,
uh,
nobody can talk to me.
if I can
Nobody
say
can talk
something,
to me again in a no kind of way because I'm an elder. And by law, what I say go. But anyway, you know, just to say that we are the energy of, you know, this is why I say you don't want to singularize and follow commerce. There must be something that is also promoting the movement culturally. And that is what the lack of shared benefits to the community is not allowing the community to promote itself side by side with the commerce.
But
One of my
Maxine,
greatest
Maxine,
achievements, no, one of my
Maxine,
achievements, listen what I'm
yeah.
saying to the point of structure. When I came into the movement at this level, seeking to organize and protect the music, I was led by the United Nations WIPO to go into the community to structure a council. And the most important aspect was to register and structure the Rastafari Trust Fund, right? To go and negotiate for these rights and this appropriation that occurred and that will be occurring in the future through projects like this, that you as a community are have your purpose structure set up. Because remember, Rastafari was negotiating in 1958 to 62 how the constitution of Jamaica should be set. It wasn't just a you know, like African black pride. We were at the table from Marcus Garvey coming right down, but we were actively at the table as to how the Jamaican independence constitution was to be set, in the sense that the Rastafari was claiming African citizenship and that any constitution of Jamaica should take into consideration that we are African people, not just by adjective, but that we are constituents of Africa, and that our economy, our social and our political economy should be tied bilaterally. And that was the visit of 1961 that Norman Manley arranged between government representatives and members of the Rastafari community that went to 5 African nations to do this negotiation that should have been instituted in our constitution, that would make the economy of Africa tied to the economy of Jamaica. That was the visit to His Imperial Majesty at that time that he was negotiating the OAU, and had recognized through the visit and sent messages to the government that Jamaica should be a founding member, a constituted member of the
But
Organization of African Unity,
and I want
and
to tell
be
you something.
inextricably,
Maxine,
huh?
I want to tell you something. This. A delegation went to meet with the emperor. And when they returned, all of them start to, especially those who receive the award, all of them start to fight amongst themselves. All of them start to fight amongst themselves. Who is the righteous one and who is not the righteous one? Who who the emperor cat pissed on and all of that stuff. And that has been, to answer last question, that has been a perennial problem within the movement, the fight amongst each other. And I say that, because I said, you know why I say that? As a youth growing up in Waterhouse, there was a brethren by the name of Jolly. He's popularly known as God. He was our leader in 12 tribe.
As who? God? G-O-D?
Yeah, God. Reuben, no, right? Reuben, known as Reuben. We know him as Jolly. And Jolly would take us as youths to Davis Avenue in Trench Town, where God was. And we chant and chant and chant and chant. And we eat food and celebrate and what have you. That was a coming together, a bridging from right across Kingston and St. Andrew. The youngsters would assemble there on Sunday evening. That moved from that area to uptown, where 12 tribe now, the bridging, them now organize, formalize themselves and what have you, and get themselves. But there was always some tension. There was always some tension between who is the righteous house versus which mansion should be. And that is something that I don't know if it's a Jamaican thing or whatever. We are always fighting among ourselves.
Well, I like I have studied that to the point where I understand from biblical levels, right? Is anything that happened and anything change? Is a few people that come in contact with each other, where there's a king and a seer. You understand? It's two power brokers that meet at a particular time and then the law change. You understand? Now, the fault of the Rastafari movement in that respect is linked to the same Marcus Garvey People's Political Party. And remember that there's a force that is studying you. The colonial system, CIA, whatever you want to call it. And any movement that comes up that seeks to challenge the system, trust me, it is what I call it? It is infested.
Divide and rule.
You understand? By
Is
people.
Is that the reason why
I
many?
went to college, right?
But let me
And
ask you this, Maxine. Let me ask you this. Because is that the reason why so many of our Rasta brethren turn to cocaine? And it undermined them, not just them
Which
family.
Rasta brethren them turn to cocaine? Yours or mine? I mean, I have Rasta brethren that turn to cocaine, so that's all. You mean the music one then?
Yeah.
The music one,
the
then
music
must
ones.
Be. Yeah.
Eh?
The
What's
problem.
that you mean, Mikey? Explain.
Listen. Amongst the Rasta musicians, they are, especially in certain points along the journey, the issue of cocaine get involved and the temptation and what have you, And I'm saying it's like it's terrible, man.
It come
It's
with the
rough.
territory. Listen.
Okay.
This is the foundation Rasta burn out reggae music. And they
Okay.
burn out reggae music. When I first came into the movement in the mid-70s, I tried with Russ Daniel Antman.
Yeah.
I didn't know at the time, I was about 17, 18. And when I tried amongst them, 12 Tribe was the biggest sellout of Rasta, in the sense where them said, you know, because this is the Naya Bingi order, and I couldn't even listen to Bob Marley. They would rather listen to the impressions,
So you
but
understand
they
what
would
I'm
not
saying?
listen.
You understand
No,
what
no,
I'm saying?
I'm
The
going to the
challenge.
class of people that you
Yeah.
are speaking to in
Sure.
relation
Okay.
to the cocaine.
Okay. Okay.
Huh?
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm listening. I'm
So,
listening.
right. So when the reggae music came in and the elders fought against it heavily, and because I remember experiencing that I couldn't listen to Bob Marley, and this was in about 76, 75, 76, whatever was happening, right? And whatever they perceived was being co-opted, right? I I understand what is happening now in relation to what they were afraid of or what they saw. That once you go into this level of commerce, like reggae was appropriating, like how we said foreigners appropriate us, the music industry was appropriating the culture because Naya Bingi, death to black and white oppressors, yes, it was taken up in the music. Yes, all of these aspects of the music was taking on this energy, but it was not taking on the core principles of the movement. And the 12 tribe organization that was developed was a critical break in the what you're asking me about, in the watering down of the principles of the music, and it kept going like, okay, with 12 tribe you don't have to wear locks, with 12 tribe you can eat meat, with 12 tribe, you know, their main vehicle was actually the sound system and the music, whereas the Naya Big order was the drums and the tabernacle and, you know, bun pope and bun the
Culture
system,
change.
the
We're,
culture.
we're, we're talking
No,
about the
I'm just
Bob.
saying
Yeah,
to
I understand.
understand.
I do understand. We're talking about the Bob Marley movement, and I really hope that I haven't seen the movie as yet, but I know this. I don't know what's the conflict, why Skill Cole was involved, why they didn't feature him, but I know that when Bob Marley collapsed in New York, Rita Marley had a difficult time getting to Bob Marley because she was restricted, and she talked about that in her book because you have certain gatekeepers around Bob Marley. Only
But
certain people could get to him, and Rita had a very difficult time. I'm not sure if that is where the bitterness is, or if there's any bitterness or what have you. That's
but
one thing.
but Mike,
I,
Mike, if I can say something in relation to what you just said. I mean, for me, the point about the movie is bigger than the skill call issue. Because when you look at it, the the script writers can write whatever they want to write and whatever aspect of Marley they want to cover, right? Some people would probably say, okay, yeah, it would have been important to put in skill call. But the bigger picture for me is that the Marley story and the connection to his faith and the movement coming up that was not covered. I mean, it can put in skill call or take out skill call. That is not the biggest point for me, right? The biggest point is connecting more with, as Maxine said, the movement of Rasta and how it him life. Yes, them put in a little part where them have what's his name? Mortimer Planner talking to Bob Marley, giving him some advice. But as far as his connection to the entire movement, we don't see that in the movie.
I don't have a problem with the movie. All I'm saying is that the direction that these people are going in terms of creating an era and selling that era, let's just be realistic. Let us
Do
be
you know
realistic.
that
You
the
know,
government of Jamaica, through Minister Babsy Grange, has signed a deal or MOU with the Crown Council that represents His Imperial Majesty to create a statue of His Imperial Majesty to build here in Jamaica. That is going to be a big flashpoint because they are seeking to determine the narrative of the Rastafari movement. If you see how much different things that they are, they have been trying to catch this movement to contain it because it is what do you call it? A threat, a constant threat to revolutionize the mind and the thinking of the people to question the system. As I said, you
that is
understand what
what
I'm saying?
that has always been the
They are not
goal.
sitting by idly
That
to
has
say, let
always
the
been
thing run its course.
that has
Huh?
always been the goal. That has always been
Yeah.
the goal.
Will we
You
be?
know, to
We,
capture and
Um,
regulate the Rasta man.
Contain and
You know,
just like what they do Kumina, they do revival, any African retention
stick
is
up it.
turned into a product that they can put on a shelf because revival, Kumina, etc., that are also mental connectivity to your African spirituality and identity.
well,
Mikey,
go
Mikey,
ahead, go ahead,
Now,
go.
now what
uh,
I'm critically saying,
Mikey,
Obia,
Mikey,
will we get a
Obia.
chance? Will we get a chance to discuss the election? It is tomorrow.
Yeah, we're going to
Oh,
talk about it
yes,
now. That's why I'm saying that
yeah,
we
all
have
right,
we have we
part
have
two.
labored this point, but I'll go and look at the movie and tell you, give you my feedback with next time. But I'm
Yeah, we
always
can half
suspicious
an
of.
hour each week to the movie. Sure.
Yeah, I'm always suspicious of people, with this ear worshiping thing. Very suspicious. When I know certain things otherwise, you get me, know certain of the players and what have you. And I've been listening to the Bob Marley story from Maxwell Avenue. That's where I listen to and I become familiar with the Bob Marley story from Maxwell Avenue, Delamere Avenue. That no, with the players and musicians and the man who used to run, go buy a pound of ganja herb and come back and that sort of thing. You understand? So that is that. Let's turn to local government election. Wesley, look like your
yeah,
party.
Mikey.
You look like your
Uh,
party is neck and neck. That's what the Sunday newspaper is saying. Neck and neck to the wire.
what do you say, Mikey?
Your party.
Now the People's Party.
Okay, the People's National Party and the JLP.
Yeah,
They're
the People's
tied
Party.
neck and neck.
Yeah, the People's Party is neck and neck with the ruling oppressive party.
Okay.
All right. The People's Party, it is always that the People's Party will win, in every movement, that the people will come out on top. After ever oppression, after ever slavery, after ever depression, the people will come out on top. So it is not anything that we did not know. That one day after 17 years of JLP government, and they have 17 years between PMP and JLP in terms of election. JLP is running the country for 13 years, right? So what people will be discussing this week or voting on is the issues that affect the working people and somehow the lower middle class, right? I don't think the middle class, because the middle class today is, I don't think they are with the PMP, right? But the lower middle class and the working class, those are the people that will vote tomorrow.
Are they
And those are
mobilized?
the people, yeah, those are the people that will vote predominantly for the PMP. Yes, the rural folks, who's the pleasant, will also vote. But the working class in the urban areas and so forth and semi-urbans, those are the people that will vote for the PMP. And because of what is happening, and you know that that class is a class that always lead the movement, lead the revolutionary movement, and that is what is happening today in terms of the people underground, the people understanding the different issues. When you have a government, an oppressive government like what is happening today, that is what will come about. People are not voting tomorrow like a ordinary local government election. The issue that is on the table is what is happening to people, where you have communities without street lights, communities with bad roads, communities where they give contract to their cronies, who when you watch them do the work, especially roads repair, right? You put half inch of barber green on the road, and you use a condensed pan where you sprinkle a little bit of asphalt, more binding around the edging, and the middle have nothing to hold it, right? Where the hospitals don't have any bed, where poor people have to go to private hospitals to do MRI, to do simple X-rays. The main hospital in Kingston, which is Kingston Public Hospital, right, is in disarray, and many more hospitals across the island. Spanish Town, all of those things. So poor people are suffering. Poor people are suffering from lack of medication, from lack of proper health care, from lack of picking up garbage out of their communities, right? Although the JLP carry 50 new garbage trucks in the island, yes, they carry 50 new garbage trucks. That is a fact. But the garbage is still on the road. The road is littered with garbage and smelly and stink, right? But they still have their people who is robbing the country. You still
Well,
have people who rob the country, and up to now, nobody is in jail. Up to now, there's no trial from all the robberies that take place at Petro,
Wesley,
at the Ministry of Education, and many more places in Jamaica. Today, there's not one trial. Over 6 years, not even one trial come to board.
Wesley,
Yes,
um, the polls are saying that the parties are neck and neck. What give you the confidence the PNP are go victorious when the
because of
polls are
what is
saying?
happening on the ground, what is happening. If there's a party that has so much resources over the last 10 years coming along, right? Over the last 10 years, have so much resources coming along. And the PNP was in shambles, fighting, and they were ahead, right? And today, that ruling party is running because the PNP today is neck and neck with a 1% point between them, right? One is 31
Who
and
did
one is
that poll?
30. Huh?
Who did that poll?
Who did that poll? What's his name?
Dan
Dan
Anderson.
Anderson. That is a Dan
Dan
Anderson.
Anderson?
Yeah, Dan Anderson is the best poller in Jamaica today. Even the JLP start to quarrel and say the Dan Anderson poll is wrong and so forth. Right? But
the
when
question,
you listen to people on the road, when you listen to the people, yes, you have people saying JLP, but when you listen to the world of folks, when you listen to some of the working people, I am in the street, I am in construction, I'm all over the place. I'm in politics, same way. Right?
But will they
But
vote? Will they vote?
people, yeah, man, the people who are speaking there will vote. They will vote. People will vote. Is the highest. When you speak to people, no, they are saying that they will be voting tomorrow, and people is telling you who they will be voting for. All right. I am working today in one of the biggest industry, food industry, doing construction work over there. Big project we are doing there. And when we do even underground, you realize that people is saying we tired of them. We don't tired of them because they are just green. We tired of them because of the the inadequate things that is happening in Jamaica for working people. Right?
you're
In
my
terms of the
problem.
schools.
You're my problem, Wesley. My problem is this.
Yeah.
We see a lot of things happening with the government. We hear a lot of people saying a lot of things against the government. We have said a lot of
Yeah.
things against the government,
Yeah.
but we have not seen I have not seen any kind of demonstration. The people actively showing say, yes, we're fed up with we're totally fed up with the Andrew Holness government. What has happened in Jamaica, right, to make you believe, say, yes, these people are fed up with Andrew Holness? Considering that,
The talk shows.
hold on, give me a minute.
Okay.
Considering that one of the biggest things that happened in the country in the last couple of months was the government giving themselves like what, a 300% increase. And the response from the people was like, it was dismal. A few people went on the street, right? And them couldn't sustain a demonstration or a protest for even half a day. What is it that's happening? You're on the ground. What is it that is happening that tells you that people are fed up of the Andrew Holness government to the point where they will vote out the councillors that represent him this time around?
All right. You use an example of the 300%, right? People spoke about that, and people murmur about that, and there was a few. The demonstration wasn't as what we think it should be, but one of the things that why people wasn't at the demonstration because of fear. The fear. They work with the government, and there's a lot of victimization, and people fear about that, right? People is speaking out. When you listen to the talk shows, when you go into groups in the bus, when you go at the bus stop, when you go into the supermarket. I was in the supermarket yesterday, and the line had about 15 people in it. And the line in that 15 people, a conversation start by a man about the price of goods. And everybody in that line, except about two persons, was in agreement with him and said it's time come to move them. Time's gone. The supermarket. That is in the supermarket. Right? When you're at the bus stop, and in terms of I take bus sometime, right? When you're at the bus stop and you listen to the people, you hear them speak about it. When you're at the workplace and you're in the canteens and you listen to the workers, you hear them speak about it, right? People is suffering And because they are suffering in terms of the wages that is happening on the construction side, for example, right? And some sites, the government, all of us who know construction, there's a book by master builders, that deals with the rating for construction workers. The government and all the unions sign on it. For example, a laborer should work $300 a day, 350. All the government programs, all the government contracts that give out, they are paying the workers them, the laborers on site $250 a day, right? All government side, all the Chinese side, run across from Kingston to Montego Bay, Kingston to Mandeville. There are those new projects, Kingston to St. Thomas, all of those projects.
You're my
And
next
anything that the government
you're
have,
my
they
next
are
question.
underpaying workers, and they are taking a lot of money for themselves, and they are giving their friends a lot of
You
things. There are some private, there are six person, it is alleged now, six person in the government that need to face the integrity commission. Name is calling the type of money that they have and said they can spend. One big politician says she earns $1 million a day.
the, the, the,
Where
the,
she
the,
get her money from to earn $1
you're,
million a
you're
day?
the next problem, Wesley. I'm just trying to put the thing in a perspective and
Yes,
try to find what's happening on the ground, because if when we
in
consider
content.
when we consider the margin of victory at the GLP the last time around, right?
Yes.
Is the discontent on the ground sufficient? That because if the PNP is to win, just ordinary discontent now go cut it for them in this local government election. Ordinary discontent is not going to cut it for the PNP, considering the margin of victory at the GLP in the last local government election.
All right.
It's
But
going to take,
that was the
yes,
make answer
the,
that.
When is it?
That was the last local government election. That was
yes.
8 years ago. 8 years ago, that is. We are looking
Mhm.
at a poll today that the GLP was more than 6-7 points ahead of the PMP, and today they are neck and neck. If we used to polls, we used to call stone poll. John know about polling. John was a part of polling thing, all right. And if we believe in the science, then we have to go with what is happening. And in terms of I'm saying, in terms of more people speaking out against the government in the communities, more speak in terms of the crowd on the road. More people I see more people on the road more than any other time over the past few years. More people talking in the supermarket, more people talking on the bus. So more people speaking openly against the government. And if the polls say they close that gap, then I am saying that the PMP will have a great chance of winning the local government election. And if the PMP don't win the local government election, it will be a slim lead for the GLP, but not a landslide like the last time. And that
Maxine,
is what will be happening tomorrow.
Maxine,
Because of the
you're
discontent of the working people, this discontent of some of the youths on the road who not getting any work. You know that when they talk about people getting work, when I listen to them, they say that, or they measure the whole thing of saying that unemployment is up. Employment is up depending on the time when the poll is taken. So you give a man some bushing work and you go there and you say, right, 10 bushing program is going on and it employs 500 people. And you say, employment is up. That is for 1 week. when we in terms of natural unemployment and employment up or down, it must be on a sustainable period, in a sustainable way, that people will be working for at least a year and a half, 2 years in a sustained job. Not a 2 weeks thing, and then you say unemployment is
Wesley, can we bring the others into the discussion? Maxine,
yeah.
you're in Jamaica, right? So what's the vibes you're getting around this election?
Okay, the question I wanted to ask before I answer is, when is the national election?
25.
When is that supposed to
Next
be
year.
by?
Next year, about May or something, I know.
18 months
Or
from
so,
now, around that, yeah.
like a year out?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the most of the campaigning is being done by the two leaders. The idea that I pick up is that most people don't on social media, how it's being promoted, it is being driven by the leaders and less by the individual um, personalities that are attached, the
Councillors.
councillors. That's just my view or my pickup. Like Wesley is on the ground, speaking directly to the people, but on the overview in terms of the what this is almost like it's a kickoff for the national election. That's why I asked, when is the national election, right? So if in fact the JLP and the PNP are neck and neck, and clearly the JLP, being the party in power, has the resources to get out, get out, move the people more because they are connected, how politics work or whatever. But it is interesting to me that it is definitely a bellwether and a launch of the national election. And so I would just expect that the electioneering is gonna continue. So even if the JLP prevails, as Wesley says, it will be by a very slim margin, noticeable by their access to resources, right? But the race is going to be on now. The pressure is going to be on towards the national election, which in maybe they have to call it, because I guess, even though it's due next year, as to how I understand, a person can call it anytime. That's like,
Yeah.
it's not like a
They can
date.
call
It's
it
not
3 years into their movement, 4 years into their time.
right. So that's how I pick it up. It's a neck and neck between Andrew Holness and Mark Golden and their policies and what they get to say. I hardly hear anything coming as issues between the councillors and who doing a better job on the ground, or it seems the better job has to do with the resources coming from. So the ruling party is going to be giving their people more edge in communities to do XYZ. That's how the game is played. But as Wesley was saying, overall, the suffering of the people, the prices of the food, the 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 pressure on the street, and the people will just vote because the what is being promoted, the roads, the infrastructure, is like the Marley movie. You see all of these things happening, but you can't feel the effect of your pocket. You understand? So even though there's a great advance in certain areas of the economy, perception, building of apartment building, highways and those movements, the fundamental thing for the people, they are, as Wesley say, suffering. The price of food and scaling and all kind of things is out the roof. So I'm going to You know, and I don't see anyone able to. Only thing they can do is change, shake up the pot, so that at least with the change of government, there is a ease towards releasing something towards them. You know.
John, you want to chime in?
No,
Well, I
I
think
I
I'm too far removed. I will, I have to abstain on this one. If it's a close thing, it makes it even more complicated. I'm watching the
is
comments in the I'm reading what people are writing here. And it's not anything different from what is being said. My skepticism, I would say, is that any manifestation, first of all, I don't think that the local government election will be any different from the usual, which is the leaders are out there, not the everyday people. I mean, that's how the local government thing go. What I'm skeptical over is the fact that I see no real manifestation of opposition to this JLP government. No protests, no block road. I don't know. I mean, I can't believe people are intimidated. I don't see no evidence of police lick up nobody, whether now or last year or the year before. I mean, some of the scandal that them do has gone quietly. Has
that's
gone
that's
quietly.
that's my point, Jen. That's my
Yeah,
point.
it's difficult to.
It's
That
what
is
you call
That's
it.
where my
What you call is a
skepticism.
silent
I will
protest.
respect the polls by saying it closer than it was the last time. But it's skeptical to me. I mean, I know that Don Anderson do good polls. I'll try and pull them tonight. I can't affect the result, but the manifestation of any change. And also, I wonder what the effect of all the construction that the Chinese people are doing. You know, them below, when I watch them thing on TikTok, it's like 15 different things that them building. Them building everything except, I mean, every area. Them building airport, them building new deep water thing in the harbor. I mean, it's a major project. All that go down. I mean, is that something, it's not a question of who signed it when it start, is who take the credit for it. You can comment on that, Wesley. I'm just curious to know what the attitude to the Chinese
All right.
investment.
All right. The attitude to the Chinese, John and Maxine and Class and Lenky, is that
can't see your head, brethren. Sit up. Can't see
is
your
that
face.
the
Wesley, yeah,
people
yeah.
the workers, the construction workers, the Chinese are getting the major, not just major share of contracts, the bulk of the contracts, right? You know, over the years we have big companies, right? Big companies, no, and medium-sized companies. All of that is out through the door under this government. Just the Chinese, and the Chinese is carrying, they let the Chinese carrying labor. So therefore, if you have 500 laborers on the site, right, the Chinese have 300. And if you have technicians and so forth, 90% of the technicians are Chinese, right?
And why
And
do
they are
you
doing,
think, why is that negative? I mean,
that is
anybody
negative.
that know what go on in Jamaica would say, well, that's a good thing, because
No,
other than
that's
that is corruption.
no. You remember that it is good and it is bad, right? You're the good of it. The good of it that you're carrying people with more machines and more this.
No. The good of it is that it don't take 12 years to build. It take 3 years to build. The Chinaman them come everywhere in the world, let them do this in a boss.
Yeah.
Corruption
But
get
at the
lit.
same time, John, what I'm saying, yes, I'm saying that in terms of the trickle down underground, is the people underground who supposed to be a part of the economy, they are not getting any money to spend. So if the people cannot get any money to spend, it means then what we usually have in the 70s when we go out on the road and we block the road and we burn the road and we do all kind of things, that is like backwardness now, right? So me,
Right. So that
I
right.
can no demonstration on the road today, but
Correct. But let me ask you this. If you make the Montego Bay Harbor
yes,
a deep water port, and twice the number of cruise ship can come there, isn't that going to benefit all the tons of people out in Montego Bay
not
who need to?
not necessarily,
Yes.
because no, John,
So want to Falmouth.
when the cruise ship come,
When them build the road from Kingston to go around the island, the road take half hour now for travel. You're gonna tell me say that don't have no effect on ordinary
I'm not
working
saying that
people?
to you, John. I'm talking about the people who benefiting from it. In terms of, for example, when the cruise ship come in, the bulk of the cruise ships is what we call all inclusive, in the all inclusive spaces. So the shops and the other places in the Montego Bay areas, no tourists not going inside there.
No, what I'm saying, I'm only trying to broaden your vision. If before the Chinaman come, it could only take 10 cruise ship a month.
Yes.
When them done, build and make the harbor deep, it's going to take 20.
Yes,
So
John, I agree.
the effect of that, what I'm really asking you is, the way I watch that TikTok thing, where it showed the government and the voice and everything, is about the development that helped Jamaica. It's not the Chinese people get the money. The labor might be Chinese, but the development is to the benefit of everyday Jamaican.
No,
Yes,
the
but
benefit, yes.
Okay.
Well, make a answer, John, a bit. Yes, John. It is good to have a deep water thing, and you can
Using
carry
some
and you
examples,
can
I don't know all of them. It's so much of them I nearly drop out of my chair. 15 of them also. 12, 15 projects.
Yes, John. You have 15 projects. Yes, I take, for example, to go to watch now, we will take an hour and a half too. I take nearly 45 minutes to go to watch now. Right? That is good. You understand?
Right.
But we are talking about outside of taking that 45 minutes to go to watch it. In terms of when the pier open and the cruise ship come in, the ordinary man at what we call the craft market and those places, right? No cruise ship, they don't take those people to the craft market. And if you don't take them to the craft market and you keep the cruise ship people in a confined area, then it's only the big people them gonna make money and not the normal working class people who is selling, the normal shop owners and the normal bar owners and all of those things. What you call on the trickle down economy. The economy is staying at the top, man. So it is good to build all the roads. It is good to do all of that. It is good to open up the spaces. Yes, we are saying that is good because that was part of what was planned under the previous government. And if the previous government had opened up the road and built all of those things, and that is not happening, it means also that they would be wrong in terms of not getting the working people and the shop people and the different people involved in it. That
All
is
right,
where
Wesley.
Yes, Mike.
The people who work in those exclusive, the all-inclusive properties, they also spend their money in the community when they go home. So this is not true to say that there's no effect. There is some effect. There's multiplying effect along the way. Okay, but what I want to get to is it is one cannot deny the fact that this guy Golden has gained traction on the ground.
As do what?
Gain traction. Traction. People really are warm up to him. People really are say right now them find him
Of
today.
course, of course,
Oh yeah,
of
people
course. If
really
I
are
say
warm
that,
up
it will
to
be
him.
untrue.
Yeah, people are really are warm up to this brethren, yeah, and they
And
are
people
come.
also are unwarm.
So let's keep our finger crossed. Tomorrow is election day. Let's hope there's no violence, and at the end of the day, we can find.
Wailers. What you mean you hope there's no violence?
What do you mean? I mean, there's just no violence. We see.
There can be no
Yeah,
violence if you don't put things in place to correct the violence. Mikey, if people is unemployed, there will be violence. If a community, check Waterhouse where you come from, Mikey, right? Check last, check down where you come from, right? Call down there and ask what is the level of employment in those spaces, right? That is where you have to check. Check the people on the ground.
Yeah, but
I don't know where my sister Maxine come from, but sister Maxine is on the ground, live in Jamaica. So if you check the people there, John, you know the spaces too. You check the places that you usually work in when you are down here in politics. Call people. You must still have connection on the ground. So call them and find out what is happening. I am not saying the economy is not. I'm not saying that
gentlemen,
building is not going up. I am not saying all of those.
Gentlemen, listen.
Wesley, we're just
listen.
being devil's advocate.
Yeah, but
I don't believe you're going to have an election without violence.
Hello.
That will be a big change.
Hello. Let me repeat. I hope.
So far, there's no violence.
I hope.
So far, there's no election.
I hope.
The only thing that happened is that a young man jumped from one bus to the other bus and lost his life. A young lady traveling in a bus and her foot get crushed and another but there's no real political violence so far, so we can give the two parties.
Well, that's I agree.
I am down here and I don't hear about no GLP PMP violence.
On that note, I hope there's no violence as we move into the election tomorrow, and I want to thank all of you.
No, but the election is tomorrow.
I want Wesley. I'm trying to close up this thing now. Okay. I'm trying to close up, and I want to thank you and others for joining the party. I enjoy it every Sunday with you guys. And the sister, I enjoy it. I hope
Wesley, I feel the passion for tomorrow. I wish I was there with you.
Yeah, and I hope, but listen.
Let you go and speak about it. As I said to you, Mikey, just make 1 point before you finish. I said to you, it is a close thing. It is very close, right? And from there, something close, then we will, the working people
always a chance.
There's a chance. So, brethren,
yes.
Next week we do it all over, and tell your friends, like and share Waterhouse Vibes. We're doing it every Sunday. Okay? At 3 o'clock. Right here. The only place where we're not going to shout at you. We'll listen to what you have to say. All right? Until then.
Okay, my sister.
All right, sister. Cool.
Until.
We're not going to shout.
So, Mike, I will tell you the score tomorrow on your